Sara Walling, and I have the pleasure to serve on the board of Groundswell. I'm one of the newest group on the board. So after a 20-year plus career working at the intersection of agriculture and water quality, I had a great interest in working with the land trust community to better understand the process of easements and the kinds of project work that go into this side of the agriculture and land conservation discussion. So I'm very happy to be here and welcome all of you. So it is with a very sincere and full heart of gratitude and appreciation to have all of you here and the support that you've provided to the Conservancy over the years. Your contribution is certainly not just about the dollars and cents that have been provided to do the work that we all do, but the impact that it has on the resource and our larger community around the county, but also the state, most certainly. Groundswell is certainly also not a one-person show. The collective effort of all of the staff here that you've hopefully gotten to meet over the course of your years of contribution to our work are all fantastic and amazing, and all are all very dedicated to the work that we're doing. Us as board members continue to try to support the work that they're doing, and obviously we couldn't do any of this without all of you. So we're very happy to have you here and be able to thank you for the kind of support that you've provided for us to accomplish all of the amazing project work and land preservation that we've been able to date. That support ripples far beyond the boundaries of the lands that we protect. They also help us to fight our changing climate and preserve biodiversity and give ourselves a sense of place, while also protecting agricultural working lands and making sure that people have access to continue to farm those acres for generations to come. So with that, I would like to introduce our first speaker, Laura Davis, who's with the Dunkirk Dam Lake District, and she's going to come up and talk about the property and the landowner that initiated that project, as well as the work that they're doing in that project continuing and the multiple entities that had to participate and partner to get that work done. And public service announcement. There is a white Ford F-150 in the lower lot that has its lights on. So if you own a white Ford F-150 in the lower lot with its lights on, please take a quick exit and make sure you have a solid battery when you leave here. And I neglected to thank our sponsors for tonight. So most sincerely, we appreciate the support that you've given us to have this event and bring all of us together to talk and share. And so with that, I'd like to thank Stark Realtors and MG&E. Kelly and Ruth are both here from Stark Company Realtors, so thank you. It was nice to meet you earlier tonight. And with that, I invite Laura to come up and share with us about the Dunkirk Dam Lake District and its projects. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Tom and Rand. So these remarks were written by Judy Adler, whose family for generations owned the property that Groundswell Conservancy obtained for the town of Dunkirk in order to expand the park that is already just on the north side of the Dunkirk Dam. It's a beautiful wooded property to the south. It's riverfront property to the south of Dunkirk Dam. And now it's a continuous area with the Lake District in the middle. And we're going to develop it for public access to river access. So, okay, sorry. So Judy wrote these, and just because of the weather, she wasn't up to coming herself. So, Mike Foy recruited me to read these. She said first she'd like to thank Groundswell Conservancy and especially Mike Foy for all the work that went into making the project happen. I was asked to say a few words about the background of the property south of the Dunkirk Dam. My grandfather, Otto C. Hansen, was born in 1882. He began working for the Stoughton Electric Utility in 1918, becoming the superintendent of the dam and power plant at Stevensville. This was the third of the three hydroelectric plants that the city owned. The first plant on 4th Street is now on the National Register of Historic Places. Yes. Otto retired in 1950 after 30 years of service with the city. In 1945, probably thinking ahead to retirement when he would no longer be able to live in the city-owned house at the Stevensville plant, he purchased the 1.6-acre parcel south of the Dunkirk Dam. He planned to build a house there and started to dig for a foundation. However, they soon hit water, and that plan was abandoned. You can still see the place where he started to dig. It's full of river because that's what's right under it. Otto Hansen died in 1956, leaving the property to his 6 children, including my father, Roland Hansen. Dad purchased the land from his siblings in 1975. He worked at clearing the land and created a garden including rhubarb, strawberries, raspberries, carrots, tomatoes, and beets. And don't forget the peonies. I had never seen such large beets or carrots. There is a lot of water under that land. Dad died in 1977, and my 2 sisters and I inherited the property. We sometimes visited on day trips from Madison, Milwaukee, and Janesville. A few years ago, I began to get letters from out-of-state developers looking for land to purchase in Dane County. In the meantime, the use of the river for recreational purposes was increasing. My sisters and I decided that the property really should be in public use. I reached out to the Dunkirk Dam Lake District to see if they were interested in the property. One person talked to another, and soon Groundswell Conservancy was involved. We greatly appreciate the efforts that have been made to prepare the grant applications and agreements making this project possible. I look forward to the future when we will see a bench overlooking the river at Hansen's Landing. Thank you, Judy Hansen Adler. So I'm the chair of the Dunkirk Dam Lake District, and I was the person she first reached out to, and my first reaction was, well, we don't have any money. But I knew people who did, who knew people who did, and people talk to people, and mainly working through the town of Dunkirk, of which the Lake District is a subset. It's a riverfront property within that area, about between the dam and Stoughton. Groundswell Conservancy became involved, and they obtained the funds to buy the property and to donate it to the town of Dunkirk. And that closing happened about a year ago. We've identified an experienced firm called Architecture and Planning, who does engineering and landscape architecture, and also writes grants to help with the development of the expanded park, which will include accessible boat slips, piers, and portage around the Dunkirk Dam. These improvements will preserve our fragile shoreline along the river and make it safe for boaters to get around the dam to paddle downstream on the Yahara River. The town of Dunkirk has recently budgeted funds needed for the planning and budget development for the expanded park. And the Dunkirk Dam Lake District will fund the writing of a recreational boating facilities grant with the DNR. We plan to kick off this project next month, and I just want to express our sincere thanks from the Lake District to the town of Dunkirk that has really taken on a true partnership on this effort. And their board has been very generous and very attentive to the project. And also mainly to Groundswell Conservancy for making it possible, because it's going to be a beautiful jewel along the Yahara River that can get around the dam and provide public access, safe public access. So thank you very much. Now I'd like to introduce Angela West Blank, the director of Groundswell, for her comments. Okay.
Hi, everybody. I'll lift this up. All right. First of all, thank you so much, Linda. And a big thank you to the Lake District and to the town of Dunkirk, and also to the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program, or funding program, and also Dane County Conservation Fund for helping to fund the project. We really appreciate all that you do. And I happened to be at the closing for that project, and it was really exciting to see it all come together. Groundswell has so many great partners, and I want to thank those partners and all of you tonight for being here. We just couldn't protect the special places we do without you. But first, on behalf of Groundswell, I want to thank Joe Parisi for his nearly 13 years of service as Dane County Executive and for helping us protect so many special places during that time. You know, the truth is, Dane County Conservation Fund provides matching funds And it's really unheard of across the state. Like when I first started here, I walked into a state conference and people said to me, "Oh, you're from Dane County, lucky you." Anyway, I feel really honored to be a part of this community and to have Dane County and the Conservation Fund a part of it. So let's give a big round of applause to Jeffrey. I also owe Joe a personal thank you for something that happened a few years ago. And I just wanted to share a little story. So a few years ago, I was in a bike accident in northern Minnesota along Lake Superior. And I broke just about every bone in my left forearm and shattered my elbow. It was pretty bad. When I was at St. Mary's, the nurses came up to me. It's in Duluth, and they said, "Oh, we've seen your x-rays, so oh boy." So anyway, after 2 surgeries, I came back to Madison, and Joe's wife Erin found out what happened to me, and Erin reached out to me via text and said, "I'm bringing you dinner." So lo and behold, a couple days later, Erin stops by. She's got pasta, she's got sauce, she's got a salad, she's got bread, and then she looks at me and she says, "Oh yeah, Joe made the sauce." And I thought, oh my God, I can't believe it. The Dane County Executive found time to make me red sauce. It's like amazing. And I have to tell you, it was delicious. My husband raved about it. My husband's mother is Italian. Her name is, or she just recently passed away, but her name is Philomena, Joanna, Raphael, Archangel, Manzella, blank. So, and she made a mean sauce, and I'm just going to tell you, Joe, Mama Mina would be very proud. So when I was thinking about what to talk about tonight, I got to thinking about red sauce and how in some ways, making a good red sauce is like doing a good land protection deal. First, to make a good sauce, you've got to simmer it, sometimes all day. It takes time. Projects we work on can take time too. Sometimes like 5 to 6 months on the lower end, sometimes years, even decades. It takes a long time. Also, a good red sauce like Joe's lives on. The recipe gets passed down from generation to generation. And similarly, when Groundswell and our partners work on land deals, they last forever. Your children, their grandchildren, generations continuing on will enjoy those lands, and we will monitor them and make sure those lands stay pristine. That's a big part of what we do. Also, a good red sauce needs good ingredients. Fresh tomatoes, garlic, oregano. I don't know what's in yours, but people are going to be asking tonight.
Secret recipes.
Secret recipe. Anyway, so we bring together the right ingredients. We bring together conservation-minded landowners, partners like Dane County, American Farmland Trust, Ducks Unlimited, townships, municipalities, the DNR, and people like you who support our work. I could go on and on. Right now, I just want to take a moment to recognize some of the key ingredients to our land protection work, Groundswell's board and staff. So if you're a member of Groundswell's board of directors, could you please stand up? All right. Also, if you are a member of Groundswell's staff, can you please stand up? All right, some of you. Finally, I just want to give a shout out. We work with different towns, Town of Dunn and Town of Dunkirk, on what we call purchase of development rights programs. And these programs really mean a lot to us. They bring in a lot of good properties that we can work on to protect. So if you are involved with the Town of Dunn or Town of Dunkirk purchase of development rights program, can you please stand up? Come on, I see you out there. So I don't know about you, but every day I see more and more development in our community. And of course, you know, we need housing, we need affordable housing. But we also need green spaces for the people who live there. And we need farms with healthy soils to feed those folks. So right now I feel like we are in a place where we're in a race against development. Because once that land is developed, it's lost forever. So it takes time, it takes people, it takes all of you. And I just want to thank you so much for your support because we really need it. Now is the time for us to really protect as much land as we possibly can. So I'm just about done, but before I turn the mic over to the next speaker, I want to celebrate a recent closing that we had. It's on 20 acres of wetlands. And it's within the Anderson waterfowl production area and in Southern Columbia County. It was this past Friday. And I want to give a shout out to Tony Abate, who is Italian. I'm not Italian, he is Italian, for helping to bring that to fruition. He's back in there. And then I'd also like to celebrate a huge success for land protection in Wisconsin that happened just this week. Charlie Carlin, where are you? Come on up. Charlie Carlin from Gathering Waters is going to talk a little bit, he's going to take a minute or two to share how Gathering Waters and Governor Evers help protect the Pelican River Forest. So I'm turning it over to Charlie.
Hey folks, I'll be quick, but it's really exciting to be able to come and share some good news. So I work with Gathering Waters. We're Wisconsin's Alliance for Land Trusts, and basically our job is to try and make your lives a little bit easier in the work that you do. Part of how we do that is advocating for good public funding policies for land protection work around the state. Big piece of that in Wisconsin is Wisconsin's Knowles-Nelson Stewardship Program. There are many of you in this room that have a much deeper history with that program than I do. It's also become beleaguered in recent years. It's become really difficult to use. There's been a lot of legislative obstruction, but it's worth fighting for. So I was just checking some numbers before I came over here tonight. Groundswell has received money from the stewardship program more than 50 times. Dane County has received more than $125 million in direct investment from the stewardship program. So if you ever get an email from me, but if you ever get an email from me and you say, oh, the heck with it, this isn't worth it. No, seriously, it's worth it. And we scored a really big victory this week. So Thanksgiving of 2022, an objection came down from the Joint Finance Committee saying that they were not going to give Knowles-Nelson funding to protect about 70,000 acres of working forest land in northern Wisconsin. And that land was owned by the Conservation Fund that was trying to work with the state to put a conservation easement on it. So we sprung into action with the Conservation Fund, with a whole bunch of local partners, and with thousands of people across the state who swung into action to get local resolutions passed, to write a gazillion letters to the editor and op-eds, to do media appearances, to talk to their legislators, and it matters. Every single one of those letters that you all send matter. Every media appearance and op-ed makes a difference. And Tuesday night, during his State of the State address, Governor Evers announced that he is moving forward. Forget the legislative obstruction, we're getting it done. And it was so cool. We had 2 key volunteers from the Pelican River Project, just folks who live in the area and wanted to see it done. They were there in the balcony with us, and they brought the house down with their cheers. So as of today, we've got another 70,000 acres of protected land in Wisconsin, and we're getting the stewardship program back. Folks. Angela, back to you.
Okay. Don't worry, I'm going to be here for 2 seconds.
Go ahead and count down when Angela.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's why I went before him. So. But anyway, I'm actually going to introduce somebody who can definitely hold her own, and also is going to be a hard act to follow. I'm introducing Laura Hicklin. Laura Hicklin is the director of Dane County Land and Water Resources Department. She's going to introduce Joe Parisi. But Laura has worked with us so much and has been just so helpful to Groundswell and the work that we do. I really feel like Dane County is such a great partner. We've worked together for so many years. I have a lot of people to thank who came before me, like Jim Welsh. But I just wanted to thank all of Dane County and the County Conservation Fund for all this work you've done for us. So without further ado, Laura.
Thank you, Angela, and thanks to Groundswell for including Dane County tonight. You know, so often when we get together to give thanks and to celebrate conservation, we talk about acres protected and dollars invested, and that's important, but none of that would be possible without all of you in the room, so thank you. And it wouldn't be possible without elected leaders like County Executive Joe Parisi. We need that leadership. And I do think it's easy to take the county's investment in conservation spending for granted. I work for Dane County and I still take it for granted sometimes. Living here, I think we just assume that these things should happen and they will happen. But think for a moment what it must be like to be the one person responsible for a budget with literally thousands of competing interests, including like children and families that don't have food or a place to sleep at night. Thankfully, Joe knows that we can make progress on all of those fronts and that conservation and protected lands are the foundation of a healthy community. Think too that, as has been referenced several times tonight, that during Joe's administration, stewardship funding has all but disappeared in Dane County. The wonderful Adler purchase that Laura referenced earlier was, I think, an anomaly right now. We just don't see enough stewardship dollars coming into Dane County the way we used to and the way we need them to return. So I'm grateful to Gathering Waters and everyone that's making that transition back to funding happening. But in the meantime, please know that County Executive Parisi was the first county executive in our history that was willing and able to move forward with monumental purchases in the absence of that stewardship funding. So the Pheasant Branch acquisition that we made, the Sugar River Durst acquisition at 625 acres, several grants to Groundswell for Patrick Marsh or Black Earth Creek. Those aren't receiving the stewardship funds that used to keep those programs going. And Joe has been willing to give us the leadership we need to make sure that land continues to be protected in Dane County. And he's also made sure that we've expanded our grant program so that organizations like Groundswell can continue to do the awesome work that they are doing in the absence of that state funding. And it's the confidence that we at Dane County, from myself to our amazing real estate coordinator, Shireen Smith, to County Executive Parisi, have in Groundswell and in everyone in this room that has made all of that work and the leadership that Joe has given us possible. So thank you for doing that. Thanks to his leadership, we have protected
Of all the nice things that people have said to me tonight, Angela, do you have any idea what it's like to tell an Italian boy how great his sauce is? It choked me up. She's right, though. It was also so great to run into Spencer Black tonight, my friend for so many years, the father of the stewardship fund. I mean, come on, and we talk about the stewardship fund. We're asking people to stand up tonight. Stand up if you created the Wisconsin Stewardship Fund. makes us all, that's what makes it work too, and what makes it all so special. It's teamwork. And the reason that Dane County is able to be the envy of other people in the state isn't because of any one leader. It's because of everyone in this room and everyone in this community who cares so deeply about the future. And organizations like Groundswell that are so important to the work we do, because this is such an all hands on deck moment, is it not? I mean, you know, be it biodiversity, be it when we look at the climate work that we've done in Dane County. And you know, we were really proud this year, well in 23, we became the 4th county in the nation only, and certainly the 1st in Wisconsin, to offset 100% of the electricity we use in county government with renewable energy. And by 2030 is to be carbon neutral. And so you sure get there with all the renewable energy and the EVs and all of that work that we've done so far, but to get those final miles, you have to sequester carbon. And you don't do that by investing zillions of dollars in some big fans that are supposed to suck it out of the air and put it somewhere, I'm not sure. You do that with this. And when I think that you do it with conservation and restoration, forested land and prairie land, folks here probably know that prairie sequesters as much carbon as forest. And this work that we do, these partnerships and the acquisitions and restoration, is critical to achieving that goal. It's amazing how complex it is. Laura and her team, we've had to build out her team to monitor, to keep track, so we can get certified with certification of the carbon we sequester. And it's complex, and it's expensive, and it takes a lot of work. But this is part of that work too. So the work that Groundswell does and that we all do with conservation and restoration has so many benefits and so much need that's being addressed all in one, in addition to providing a place that's just good for the soul, right? So thank you for your partnership. Thank you for this kind recognition. And thank you all. I'll continue to see you around. Madison's still home. And I really appreciate being to hang out with you in this position for the last 13 years. Take care.